So pleasure to meet you. So this is my brand name, Sky, right? In
Hello.
2017, I lost my brother and decided to start my own metal band. And this is where I met Sky. And she's a lead singer.
Yeah. We're called Twisted Sky.
I
There you
see.
go. I
Love
thought
it.
I'd plug that bit.
Well
How
done.
you
Basically,
doing?
I want to talk to you about, well, the metal community and how it helps people. Because really, for someone, well, someone like us, as disabled people, coming to see you in concert and bands like yourself, just really help us, like. And how does it feel to sort of inspire people like us, like?
I think it's a heavy responsibility when, people tell you that you inspire them. It's not something that you set out to do. When you're in a band, you just get into a band for the same reason most people do. You want to make music and you want to enjoy yourself being creatively and, mincing around the stage like an idiot like I do. I think if you're able to do it and you get people come along to see what you do and they enjoy it, that's a big box ticked. But if they become inspired to want to do it themselves as a result, then that's a fantastic thing. But it's not something you set out to do.
The Twisted Sky became like a family to myself, my band. I just wondered if Fender was like a family to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a very strange relationship. It's it, I've met a lot of guys who work and have been in the military, and
Yeah.
they say that they have a relationship with other guys that they serve with, and they say that because you are so dependent on those other people,
Yeah.
that it is like a family in a lot of ways. And they say there are a lot of parallels between being in the military and being in a band. Obviously, it's nowhere near as frightening for a start being in a band, but I think the fact that you do have each other's backs and you do rely on each other to produce um, your music and your live shows, I think it makes for a very strange existence. With family, you rely on family for love and comfort and support, but it's a different kind of relationship being in a
Yeah.
band. It's a different kind of family.
Yeah, that's great because I mean, that's what I was looking for when I started my band. Like, it was obviously that, and when we come together, we create. It's quite exciting that people can just click like that. Like, um, so I've always suffered mental health, right? And listening to metal has always helped that. Did you say you were ever suffered? And does mental help you?
um I think I'm very fortunate, in as much as I've been through not very much misery in my life. I haven't had that many difficult challenges. I mean, I've hurt myself. I've been run over 9 times by cars, and
Yeah.
buses. I've had all kinds of different things like that happen. So I'm no stranger to pain. But luckily, I've escaped major, major difficulties,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I've been very fortunate that I've had a very loving family. My parents were fantastic. Um, my kids are great. My siblings are great. So I've had a very sort of charmed life, really. So I don't really feel like I've struggled with my mental health, not particularly. I get dark days like everybody else. Most days I spring out of bed thinking, "What am I going to do today?
Yeah.
What am I going to achieve today? How can I get something good done?" And that's the way I am. I can't help it. I just exude positivity. But I do get dark days. Where I don't really fancy it. But
Yeah.
usually I find, I can find a way to get out of that. But rock music for me has always been a source of constant inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way music makes me feel is always what's inspired me to want to be involved in it. When I was a kid, uh, I went to see bands play and I watched them and it just blew my mind. The
Mm.
fact
Yeah.
that people could do that. When I first heard Paul Rodgers sing, on the Free Live album. That also blew my mind. And I just thought, right then and there, this guy, the noises that are coming out of his mouth are how I feel about music. It kind of spoke to me in a way, and I thought, I have to be a singer, and I have to do it like that.
Yeah.
And weirdly, later on, I went to see Van Halen play with David Lee Roth. It was on the tour for their second album. And I've told this story loads of times. They did the gig. The gig was amazing. He was an amazing front man. Wasn't much of a singer, but he sang, and he sang well enough. But the way that he put the show on and he engaged the audience was completely different to the way singers used to sing in those days. Most of the time, they just kind of stood there and sang the songs. So it was a bit like listening to the record, only with people in front of you. But this guy somehow brought it to life and engaged you and wanted you to come on. And during the encore, I'll never forget it, there's a song on their first album, which is a cover version called Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
And he came out on his own from a curtain. So there was a curtain there like this, and then the curtain opened a little bit and David Lee Roth emerged between the curtain, but only halfway. And he just stood there for a bit and the audience went absolutely nuts. It was just him. But then the curtain opened a little bit more and he came through the curtain a bit more and he had this huge plume of ostrich feathers sticking out of his arse. Which just came up like this, all over the place, huge. You know, imagine an ostrich basically displaying all its plumes. This is what he did. And the whole audience went mental again for what seemed like about 10 minutes, during which he didn't say a word. And then he waited until the whole thing subsided. And all he said at the end was, London. And they went mental all over again. It's the most bizarre and fantastic experience to be part of an audience watching somebody with that much control over the situation. And once again, that was a defining moment for me. I thought, he can't sing the way that I want to sing, but I have to entertain the way this guy does it. So for me, it was much more about, from that day on, it was much more about injecting personality into the shows, making sure that people were having a nice time. You know, yes, of course, you have to tick all the boxes. You've got to make sure that the band's great, the band's well prepared, everybody plays well, the songs are fab. You know, you sing as well as you can. But somehow it has to turn into an experience. It can't just be like somebody watching the record. And that's basically been my approach ever since. But they were formed by being in an audience and being inspired by people.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so my last question to you, right, is what does metal mean to you?
It means hope, I think. I think it means hope and inspiration. I meet people time and time again. Not so much lately because I haven't been anywhere, but over the years, you know, Thunder does after shows after every gig, and we have loads of audience members in the show, and we talk to them very freely, just like we're talking now. You know, it's a very kind of casual affair. We don't have all this kind of the band settled behind a table or any, you know, people don't have to queue up. You know, it's just very, very relaxed, and we've always done it, and we love to hear what people think. And people tell us night after night after night after every show, you know, your music has got me through difficult times.
Yeah.
I read stuff into your lyrics that apply to me. It's helped me. It's inspired me. It's rescued me. You know, I've conceived children to your songs. I've been married to your songs. Our first dance was to your songs. You know, and that's just hope. I mean, that's what music is there to do. It's to provide hope and to provide comfort during difficult times, excitement when you need it. I mean, there are songs. I mean, I do a radio show every week on Planet Rock, and I've been doing it for 7 years. And there are songs that when I play them, I have to jump around the room.
Yeah.
Even now, I still have to jump around the room because I can't sit and listen to them. I have to jump around the room. And I think that's what music is about.
Yeah.
And would you say you ever had the opportunity to meet some of your metal heroes?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've met a few, yeah, and they always say you should never meet your heroes because you're going to be disappointed. But I mean, I can say that that's happened to me a couple of times where I thought he's a bit of a knob. But in the main, I think most of them just really nice people.
Mm.
They feel, they're comfortable in their skins. They're confident in their abilities, and they know it, so that they exude that confidence.
Yeah.
And most of them, they're just very nice people to be around. They're very relaxed. I think it's the people that are prima donnas that create a fuss about everything all the time. In my experience, they tend to be the ones that are a bit insecure, and they're a bit worried that people
Yeah.
find out they're not as good as they should be.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they're the people that I've met over the years. Maybe I've been unlucky, but I haven't met many of them. Most of the people I've met have been really, really nice.
Yeah, I gotta say, when I started this, like, I sent them messages out. I gotta say, the majority of you have always answered straight away, and you've all been very gracious. So I'm really grateful to that, Danny. So thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I like a chat, Sky. It's got to be said.
It's like when I've been over to America, they're like, "Do you know the Queen?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Not personally, no."
yeah. I always say yes.
Yeah, and you probably do.
Well, no. I was inadvertently tricked into ringing her up one night in a prank phone call by my manager. They phone this number and talk to my girlfriend for me. She won't talk to me. If you talk to me, she might talk to me. I said, "What's her name?" He said, "Liz." So I said, "Okay." So he gave me the number. We're in a studio very late at night, and I rang it up, and of course, a very posh person answers the phone. Yeah. It's only after the guy had said, "I'm afraid there is no one here called Liz," and hung up. Manager, and he said, "You just rung the Queen, you idiot." Yeah.
Oh,
He's not my manager anymore.
yeah, you're touring more next year, isn't it? You're coming to Wales as well. We've already got tickets to see you.
Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, we can't
What's
wait.
this for the Cardiff show? Motorpoint?
Yes, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the other bands as well.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really, really very good tour. I think all 5 of the venues are going to definitely have to reinforce their roofs, because I think if they don't, they're going to come off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're seriously looking forward to it. I mean, having put these shows up twice now, this is the 3rd
That's
time
right.
I've got on. So we are very, very excited about it, and
yeah, we can't wait.
we're really looking forward to it. I mean, choosing the set list is always a bit of a difficulty with every new album, because there's songs you want to play from your new album. Although it's not really new anymore, it'll be over a year old by the time we get to play it. It will be.
Do you always remember all of the lyrics?
Oh God, no! I'll make them up.
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at remembering.
No, it's really strange. There are some that once they're embedded, you never forget them. And every now and again, there's some that will just fall out the back, as I call it.
Yeah.
And I just think, I can just feel that lyric falling down the back of my neck now. That's just disappeared. Just fell onto my trousers and just disappeared behind me. I don't know where I'm going to get that lyric.
Sometimes I do like open mic. I go to one of those like pubs where they do that, and my son will be playing behind me, and I'll be like, "What's the next? What's the next word?" I'm sorry.
I've had so many of those moments over the years. I remember a Japanese fan said to me once, we played a show in Tokyo, and she came up to me, and she had a very kind of furrowed brow. She was very concerned, and she said, "Why did you sing that line in that song differently than it is on the record?"
Oh my God.
I thought about it for a second, and I thought, well, I'll have to be honest here. So I said to her, I did it for the same reason a dog licks his balls. And she said, and she looked at me all quizzical, and I said, "Because I can." And I think she didn't understand me, but she did laugh.
Oh, there you go. In her own way.
Her furrowed brow disappeared.
Oh.
I think it's very strange though. I think mistakes during gigs. I mean, we're only human. Everybody who makes music, we're only human. We're not robots. And I think sometimes when things go wrong, they're the best bits. They're the bits that people remember.
Yeah,
it comes down to how you treat it. How you deal with the situation. We've had the lights go off, and we've had some of our crew running around on top of us with with torches over our heads. We've had lights go off. We've had the sound go off. We've had people on the stage. I mean, we've had all kinds of stuff happen over the years, And I think the most important thing is that you deal with it with a sense of humour. You don't take yourself
Yeah,
too serious.
definitely.
If
Yeah,
you can deal with it with a sense of humour, people love it, because they feel like they were there, that time when it all went wrong. I love it.
we sometimes struggle getting musicians to join us.
Yeah, we suffered this for ages, and we
I mean, one example was this guy. He was a guitarist. He got in contact with me, and I said, "Oh yeah, come to practice, meet you, and everything." He turns up without the guitar anyway, just talking to us, and we started singing a bit, and then he goes, "Oh, I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to get my guitar." I said to Rhys, I said, "He's not coming back. He's not coming back." And then next minute, I get a text message. And the text says, "Sorry, my son's flooded the bathroom. I've got to go."
You never came back. Never saw him again.
Yeah, we never saw him again. That was, that was rude. That was really rude. But
I think it's all too common, unfortunately. The thing with musicians is a lot of them are flaky.
yeah,
Yeah, we know
They like the
Yeah,
idea of being in a band because it all seems on the face of it to be quite glamorous. But what they don't realise is those people, especially the
commitment.
ones, is that you have to put a lot of work in.
Yeah,
You have
and
to
that's
be
what
prepared.
me and Rhys try and put. But like when we sing and stuff,
Yeah,
we
we put the effort in.
we want to eventually do gigs and that, but we can never keep our musicians.
Yeah, we need somebody who feels the same way as us to be. In that case, like somebody who wants to really join a band and be creative with us, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very hard. I think it's very, very hard to keep a band together, especially nowadays. I mean, when I started as a kid, there was a very active sort of pub circuit. You could play.
Yeah.
And people used to go to that pub because that's where they went. They went there for entertainment, and they didn't necessarily go to see a particular band. Although if they liked a band, they would go back again. But they used to go because they went.
That's
So
right, yeah.
there wasn't a great deal going on. I mean, you only had a couple of channels on television, and you didn't have the internet, you didn't have PlayStations, you didn't have all of those Netflix or anything like that. So people nowadays have an enormous amount of choice for what they can do with their leisure time. But when I was a kid, they didn't. So you used to go to a pub and see a band play, and so there was an endless procession of bands that would get a chance to play in front of them. And we were very lucky that we came along just probably as that kind of pub scene died, but we got a couple of years out of it, and we got to play all over the place and learn our craft. Nowadays it's very hard. You're expected to be brilliant pretty much day one. The moment, and that's very difficult. Because you have to learn somewhere. I don't know where you learn otherwise.
That's true.
It's a pleasure to meet you anyway, Danny. Thank you for this.
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, I do feel for you when you're struggling to find band members and places to play. But you just got to stick with it, because it doesn't matter really whether or not you become massively successful or not. The most important thing is that you get joy out of it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
You get joy, then you bring joy, because people can see it in your face.
Yeah, you're right.
That's right.
It works the other way around, though. I've seen so many bands. I mean, you must have seen them over the years where they look like they're going through the motions, and you come away thinking that was a waste of money. Why did I go?
Definitely.
So it definitely shows. I think you only get out what you put in, and I think it's really important that everybody just realizes that you can't. Not everybody can end up being rich and successful.
No.
It doesn't matter. The most important thing is.
I mean, for us, it's just the love of music for us.
Yeah, it's right.
Really. And we tell people that come to go play with us, we're just gonna have some fun. No pressure,
Yeah.
But that's the way we've got to be, really, isn't it?
I think that's the only attitude you can take. I think you don't need a better reason than that.
Yeah. We can't expect too much of anyone. We just keep going, don't we, Rhys?
Yeah, we do. We keep trying. We pay the movements, but
I've known him 3 years now.
Brilliant. Well, I wish you well. I have to say, I wish you a lot of luck with it. And it's been a pleasure talking to you.
And you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Bye.
Bye.